Hey, everybody.
Welcome back to our podcast where we agree
To disagree.
on a lot of different things. And today we will be talking about things from our childhood that we will change when raising a baby. It's kind of a hot topic.
It is a hot topic. I mean, we've already done 2 topics about baby stuff, and I know everybody loves knowing how people parent, how people teach their kids, what they're going to do. And it's already been really interesting reading some of your guys' comments. You really have given me a good laugh. And just remember, this podcast is where we agree to disagree. So if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. Don't know what else to tell you. But
Well said. Also, we wanted to say our biggest fans of this podcast are probably our parents.
it's true.
Like my parents.
Your parents especially.
Especially.
My mom has a hard time using technology, so she struggles a bit, so my dad always has to help her. But
well, shout out because my mom and dad will, as soon as our episode comes out on Friday, or sometimes like a day or two late, they'll text us
right away.
Yeah, like their thoughts and stuff. So that being said, mom and dad and Mykayla's parents, nothing that we say is going to be an attack on like our childhood when we say we want to change anything. Right. It's just kind of, I don't know, just things we may do differently as parents ourselves.
We need to give my sister Chelsea a shout out too, because she's always listening to it in the car, and she's always calling me and talking about stuff, and
shout out Chelsea.
Have a good time. Shout out to Chelsea, my sister.
Also, I just want to throw this out there. I feel like I had a really good childhood.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so this honestly might be a hard episode for me because I felt like I was raised pretty well, and I had an awesome childhood. Like I have really good memories. It almost makes me kind of sad thinking about my childhood. You know what I mean? Like, because it's like, I'm like, man, life was just kind of easier. Life was a lot easier when I was a kid.
Mine was that easy.
We actually, you and I talk about this all the time. Probably once a month, Mykayla and I will talk about how life was so much easier when we were younger. And we don't, no one knows until you get older, right? Like,
it's true. There's like so many things great about getting older that I love, like being able to be with you and have a husband and do things and, not have to ask my parents for money or, like I get to choose my life, but being a kid is just so much less stressful.
It really is. I remember like one of the worst things when I was a kid was like when I was bored. I just would have nothing to do and no friends could hang out. I would just be bored and I would kill like to have that problem. Because I feel like there's always just something I'm supposed to be doing. I have a huge to-do list. I have a job. We have a house needs taken care of. Like we have a baby on the way. We have bills to pay. There's just always stuff on my mind. And like, I'm never bored because like, I wish because like when I was a kid, nothing on your to-do list, right?
Except for, unless your name's Mykayla, you get bored. Jonas left for like 2 days, and I was texting him, I'm so bored, I can't do it anymore, you need to come home.
Yeah, but that's because I take care of like our you have it pretty easy actually thinking about it.
I know.
I take care of,
I'm
I
like
work,
opposite than you.
I take care of our finances, I take care of our house, you just sit there
I kind of work.
You just cook up a cute little baby. That's it. But anyways.
I clean.
You do clean.
I take care of the house in a way.
So yeah, basically, should we just give a little overview of our childhoods? I mean, you kind of had a different childhood just growing up doing gymnastics.
Yeah. Do you want me to go first? Or do you want to go first?
You can go first.
Okay, well, I'm the youngest of 4. My mom had me when she was 40. So really, I want to say fun fact. I don't really know if it's a fun, but fun fact, I was born dead. I feel like, have I mentioned that on this podcast? I can't remember.
I don't know. That's a scary fact.
Scary fact. I was born dead. My mom had me when she was 40. I was rushed into C-section. My mom was rushed into C-section, and I was black and blue. I was pretty much dead. I can't remember. I feel like I'm going to get it wrong, but like 8 seconds or something. I don't know. Something. Or I'm wrong, but not 8. I don't know what it is. Okay, I need to re-clarify. Maybe 8 minutes. I can't.
Okay.
I don't know. I need to re-clarify with my parents.
I can hold my breath for 8 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. I don't know. I don't want to mess it up. I guess I should have asked my parents before we did this. But anyway, born dead. They revived me, and I guess my dad, like, the doctor let him film it all, so I think he has it all on film.
Really?
Yeah. So we need to go back through and watch it because that's kind of interesting to me. But anyway, so I guess a lot of people say that, it was like well, first of all, I was an accident. So everyone says that I was a good accident. So my mom wanted another baby, but, she was getting older. So anyway, I came along and I have a brother, two older sisters, and then there's me. And basically, my childhood was just gymnastics ever since I came out of my mom's tummy. My siblings literally just taught me gymnastics, and I lived through my sisters doing gymnastics, and I was at the gym all the time in the stroller. I didn't start gym till I was 5, so I feel like most people that kind of grow up in the gym world, start when they're 2 or 3, but I didn't start till I was 5. And I don't really know what else to say. Like, my childhood was fun, but, like, also, like, it was my life. And you guys know, like, with gymnastics, it's like, that's all I really know is gymnastics, and like just going through the thick and thin of it all and trying to survive, but also loving it and trying to be a kid at the same time. And I feel like there's a lot I don't really remember about my childhood, which is kind of sad because I feel like you say you remember so much, but it'd be fun to like have my sister Chelsea on here and talk about, like having me as a sister and all the fun things that she did. And I do remember like she would always get me ready for my gymnastics meets and do my hair and makeup. And I remember one time I had the flu really bad and I had to go do pictures that day. So I went into the gym and my pasty white little face, and I'm just like puking in the bathroom, running out, taking pictures for team pictures. And she got me all ready for it and helped me get to the gym. So yeah, my life was just gymnastics. Not much time for fun. Although I did have a lot of nieces and nephews because I became an aunt. I want to say it was like 13 or so. Could have been a little younger than that, but I had lots of nieces and nephews running around, and always was with babies and going up and visiting my brother and seeing his kids and doing that whole thing. But pretty much for me, I was the only child that I don't even know, really young.
That's crazy.
So it was like kind of sad because like all my siblings were married and had kids, and then there was just me still at home and doing gymnastics in high school, and obviously super spoiled. So my siblings, I feel like, hate me for that, but sorry, not sorry. But I am very spoiled. I do want to sometimes say I'm the favorite child, but that's rude because no one should have a favorite child.
But you are the favorite.
But I am the favorite. So yeah, that's my childhood. So great.
That's a pretty good one.
I love my mom and dad. They're still married, still going strong. And they raised 4 great, beautiful children, lots of grandkids, and many more to come.
So I also have one brother and 2 sisters. I'm the second, though. And I was born in Utah, and I vaguely remember it, but we moved to California. I was pretty young. I was probably like 4, maybe younger. Because that's when I started preschool, and so all my schooling was in California up until I started high school. We moved to Utah, then I finished high school there. But my childhood was pretty good. I did a lot of sports.
Didn't we live in Utah at the same time?
I think so. Yeah, I think we did.
And we both lived in Draper.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Oh, what if we like? I always tell Jonas, I'm like, I wish we like knew each other in high school and stuff, so we could have like been like to prom together and just like. Do those things together. Cute. I know. I just like would have loved to experience Jonas in high school. He's so cute.
Thanks. Appreciate it. But I don't know. I played a lot of sports. Growing up, I did like pretty much every sport. Like I did flag football, like t-ball, little baseball, and then soccer, of course. And that's the one that I kind of stuck with. I started soccer when I was 5.
Which is so funny to me that you never did basketball. I know you grew like way later, but like
basketball is like the only sport that I
your jam.
didn't. I even like I went to volleyball camps and stuff. Like I literally did every sport except basketball, which is kind of a bummer because that's all I play now. And I wish, if I'd grown up playing, I'd have the fundamentals, so I'd be a lot better.
Thinking of sports though, what are we gonna put our kids in?
Okay, that's a whole other conversation. Anyways.
Oh.
I started doing track and cross country.
Jonas was really good at track, by the way, you guys.
But then I guess probably the hardest part of my childhood is I had some health problems, so I didn't have to stop running, but I kind of did stop running because it's really hard because like track and cross country, it's very, like, your performance is super objective because it's just your time, so it's very easy to see if you're getting better or worse. And I had these health problems, and so I was getting worse. And so that was just kind of disheartening. If I was still playing soccer, maybe I'd be not as fast or not have as much cardio. And, because I also had developed, it's called exercise-induced asthma.
And what was the other thing you had?
I just had a low red blood cell count. They never found out why, but I just kind of developed it. And so all of a sudden I just got slower and slower, and my cardio got worse. So, like, if I was playing soccer, it probably would have affected me a little bit, but when my sport was track, it was just running and cross country, then that was kind of disheartening. So that was kind of a hard part about growing up. And then when I moved back to Utah, I kind of hopped around from sports. I tried soccer again, went back to track and cross country. And then in a 4-year span for high school, I tore my hamstring, tore my Achilles, dislocated my knee, fractured my femur, dislocated my knee again. So I was kind of out of
I'm
sports.
just really curious what our kids will be like.
Yeah, so
me with no injuries, little things, and you with tragic, horrible things.
Yeah, pretty sad. So that kind of,
yeah,
so sports was a huge part of my childhood, not so much a big part of, like, my teen years, sadly. But I don't know, I loved growing up in California. Weather was nice there. My dad and I would always go hiking because we lived in this place where there was just, like, hills surrounding our house, and it was, like, permanent open land. Like, they couldn't build there or something, so there was always a bunch of hiking trails and stuff. Lots of fun things to do. We'd go into San Francisco a lot before. It's not like it is today. It's, like, pretty bad now. But back in the day when I lived there, San Francisco was, like, the cool spot. Like, we'd go there, lots of fun things to do. Now you go there and you get shot. So
that's scary.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. But anyways, then moved to Utah, and I was actually kind of excited because we have family here, and growing up, we'd come to Utah probably once a year just to visit family or whatever. And I loved Utah, and I thought it'd be fun to make new friends, which it was. And
yeah, were you excited for the move, or?
I mean, you're always going to be a little bit sad, like, to leave friends behind and stuff, but I was excited. I thought it'd just be cool, just a cool change, And
because
then
he had to meet me, that's why.
That's why.
Even though it was years later,
But then when we moved to Utah, so this is the bummer part. So I started high school because in California, 9th grade is high school.
Oh yeah.
Start high school. My dad gets a job in Salt Lake City, so we moved to Utah. In Utah, 9th grade is junior high.
It's so weird.
So I had to go back to junior. So I was so excited because I'm like, yeah, I'm in high school now. We move and I'm back to junior high, and then had to start over. Made all these friends at my new junior high.
Why do they do it like that? Curious.
Every state's just different. And then high school starts for me again, but because of where I lived, I went to a different high school than all of my friends that I just made in junior high. So it was like I moved again. And I applied for a variance, and at first I didn't get it. And then, like, last minute they told me I got it, but I was already, like, kind of at that point I was fine going to the other school. I was excited to start new again. I don't know. So I applied for variance, didn't get it initially. And so it was like, it was almost like moving again, because go to this new school. I knew a few people there, but really like my best friends were all going to this other high school. But ended up working out. I still, to this day,
You're still friends with all of them.
Yeah. So yeah, it worked out. But that was kind of my childhood. And yeah, had a good time. I kind of liked, when we lived in California, we moved around a lot because my parents were always renting. And then they bought a house in Utah. But I kind of liked it. I thought it was cool. I lived in, I think, like 4 different houses growing up, 4 or 5 in California. But we always moved in the same, like, 5-mile radius. So we always stayed in the same schools and same friends and everything. And it was always parts of town that I knew. But I thought it was fun. I loved, having a new bedroom and, like, a new house, a new backyard.
We moved to 10 too.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. You moved probably more than me, right?
Yeah.
How many? So
always moving. I don't even know how many houses. Don't even ask.
Okay, well, I'm going to count mine. So first house in Utah, I vaguely remember it. And then first house in California was, I'm trying to remember the street names. Pearlgrass. Second one was Marilla Lane, Longleaf, Macedon. So 4 houses in California.
Jonas has a photographic memory. Keep that in mind.
So 1 house in
I'm like,
Utah,
I don't
4
know.
houses in California, and then 1 in Utah. So 6 houses.
Now 7. This one.
Yeah, but at childhood. This isn't
I
childhood.
know, but
Yeah.
well,
Did you like moving around?
yeah,
You
I
guys
didn't mind
moved
it.
around a lot.
Yeah, but it was like same kind of thing. Like we didn't move like super far. Like we were always in Gilbert, Arizona, well, for most of it. So, I mean, we did live in Arizona. Then we moved to Utah. And we went back to Arizona. But
Okay, big question. What memories do you have about your parents' parenting style?
pretty chill.
Yeah?
I don't know. My parents, like, all parents have their moments of parenting. But, I mean, if anything, like, they'd always be getting on us because we would all, like, my brother would always wrestle us. And me and my sister Katie never got along. Me and Chelsea have always gotten along, and we're, like, best friends to this day, even though we're, like, 10 years apart. But, I mean, sometimes I hated it because sometimes I just didn't want to go to practice. And, of course, my parents had to push me a little bit and, like, had to get me to go. And sometimes I'd lock myself in the bathroom and cry and not want to go when I was little. Just because I'd want to play with my friends and stuff. I don't know. It was pretty good. I mean, sometimes we got spankings, and sometimes my dad would bring the belt out, But,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It was
Were you,
pretty.
were you,
My parents were chill. Like, obviously, obviously I'm the baby. So for me, like, I feel like whenever you're the baby, it just kind of lessens and lessens, like, the more you get, Like, my parents let me stay out late once I was old enough to stay out late, as long as, like, I was texting them or I let them know I'm coming home soon. I don't know. They just, like, didn't really care. I just lived my life. I don't know about parenting. I was so obedient, though, too, because, like, most of it, I was just doing gymnastics all the time. So it's not like they had to, like, punish me or ground me.
I feel like you didn't have time or energy.
Yeah, most of the time, I, like, on the weekends, too, like, maybe until I started, like, dating. But, like, I just didn't really want to hang out with my friends because I was so tired. So, like, I, like, would and wouldn't. So, like, I don't know. I think my childhood wasn't that bad. Just gymnastics was brutal.
Do you agree with their parenting style? Is there anything that you wish that they changed?
I mean, it's hard because, like, we grew up LDS. So, like, sometimes I wish we would have had, like, family home evening more, which I know a lot of people on here don't know, but it's where you, like, maybe you explain it.
Well, family home evening, it's kind of a church culture thing for our church, but it's usually Monday nights, and it's just kind of
being with the family,
yeah,
maybe
just being with the family.
over a story or.
I mean, usually you'll have you'll say like a prayer, and you'll have like a scripture, like a spiritual thought or something. So like there's some sort of spiritual learning, but then it's like you do an activity together, and yeah, we did those a lot when I was a kid growing up, and it was always super fun.
Yeah, sometimes I wish we had more of those, but like all of us were just into sports, and so we were just busy doing sports all the time. So sometimes I wish we had a little bit more family time, but like I didn't really do a lot of child vacations either because like I was so like invested into gymnastics and I couldn't really take time off to go on vacation. And then my mom had me when she was 40, so they were older and they're a little crippled, run down. And sometimes like it was hard because like I didn't have like the young, cool, fun parents. It was like I almost felt like adopted in a way. Like they had 3 kids, they all moved out, and then there was me, So sometimes like I wish I could have done funner things, but like I just feel like I didn't grow up doing a ton of fun stuff. But I mean, I feel like parenting wise, like I don't know. I feel like sometimes my parents could have been a little too easy, maybe could have been a little tougher in certain situations. Sometimes they were tough. I don't know. Like I don't know where I'm going with this, but just like I feel like with me
I don't know,
being a
just a little
parent, I
more
might have
structure.
different, yeah, like obviously I'm going to probably have a lot of similarities because like when you marry someone, you know, like Jonas and I had to figure each other out because the way his family grew up was so different from how my family grew up, you know, and like every family's like that. And so I hope that with all of our fans and followers that you guys won't judge us too hard as being parents and as we share this journey with you because everyone raises their kids different. You grow up in different families, everyone's completely different. And I feel like how you raise your child is how you want to raise them, and you should not be punished or judged for it. As long as you're doing a good job. But
Well, a good example is like your family loves drama. Like
it's true.
you guys live for drama more than anyone I've ever met. And then you met me and my family, and we never.
You guys
like,
don't talk about anything. It's like
yeah,
I feel
and
like I
so
say
she thought
something and I'm
it
like,
was like a problem. I'm like, Mykayla, it's not a problem that we don't, because you just kind of thrive
yeah,
off of
but
like.
I mean,
ooh,
I know
like,
other people that are like
it's
us.
just different. Yeah, but like it's complete opposites. And
I mean,
so,
I get like you
so when
shouldn't have
I met,
negativity, but you guys are never like, don't say anything. Kind of like,
I don't know, maybe it's just opposite ends of the spectrum. Maybe you can agree you guys talk drama too much. I don't know, maybe a little bit of drama is healthy, but yeah,
I'm
that
also a
was
girl, so I have sisters and we just talk like life's hard.
life is hard. I don't know. So for me, my parents, I feel like were pretty strict when I was growing up, and then less so as I got older, unless I did something wrong. Then they were super strict. So like growing
Yeah,
up,
what'd you do wrong? I
well,
couldn't picture you doing anything wrong.
well, I'll get there. But growing up, like my brother and I, so Ben and I, we'd fight a
Yeah.
lot.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I knew that one.
And my
yeah.
dad would get so mad at us sometimes, and I remember we'd get spankings and we'd
Yeah.
have punishments, and I don't know, I can't even remember the punishments, but I feel like we'd just be locked in our rooms, or we fought a lot.
Mm-hmm. It's okay. Katie and I fought a lot too.
Yeah, and they're pretty strict, but I felt like as I got older, definitely in high school, I had not like the cool parents, like the hip parents, but I had like the cool parents, like the really chill parents, like the really nice parents, like the funny parents. Like I had friends over all the time, and my mom would always cook us food and
Then
stuff.
why did you not want me to meet your parents for a long time when we started dating?
I just didn't want you to meet anyone. I don't know. We had just started.
No, you're like, you can't meet my parents.
That's a little off. Well, okay, because they would have been too excited. They were too excited to meet, so I
Yeah.
didn't. That's a whole other story.
I know, I'm just messing
Didn't want
with
them
you.
to like attack you.
So we want to take a second and talk about Family Made. It's the network that makes this podcast and so many other things happen.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys have all heard of Shawn Johnson, the incredible former Olympic gold medalist, and her husband, Andrew East. But what you may not know about them is that they actually started Family Made as a way to get you excited about family life and connect you with people and resources that support you along your journey.
Also, if you're loving our show, which we hope you guys are, you need to check out the other shows Family Made has on their website too, actually, because they're amazing. They're shows that touch on just about everything a relationship, a family could go through, so we know you'll find other shows that you really relate to.
Couldn't agree more. Head to familymade.com to check out the list. There's shows about literally everything: adoption, raising large families, marriage struggles, addiction, special needs, hot topics, family values, agreeing to disagree, and so much more.
Anyway, we love being part of Family Made. I just have to say that. I think Family Made is so awesome. But anyway, there really is something for everyone. So make sure to go to familymade.com to learn more. It's such a good resource no matter what season of family of life you're in.
Anyways, and like I didn't really ever have a curfew or crazy rules unless did something wrong. So good example. So
I think I know where you're going with this one.
high school.
The TP.
Yeah. A little bit worse. So like this was probably in the I can't remember, sophomore or junior year of high school. So like right in the middle of high school. And I was thriving. I had a lot of friends from both high schools because remember all of my friends that I made when I moved to Utah went to a different high school. And then I made new friends at the other high school. So I had a lot of friends that I'd hang out with, and it was really nice because I had no curfew. So, I could just hang out late, just have a lot of fun. And then one night, me and this one group of friends, it wasn't my idea, but collectively we had an idea to egg someone's house. which was really funny at the time. And then one of my friends left the egg carton in the cul-de-sac, and the guy whose house we egged saw where we bought the eggs, went to that store, talked to the security, looked at the security footage, saw 10 kids walking out with a dozen eggs. And anyways, the cops called our parents first. And my parents were pretty upset. They didn't yell at me or anything, but they were obviously like very, very disappointed. I remember that probably hurt me the most because I'm a good kid, I promise. They were extremely disappointed, and my curfew was sunset for the rest of the school year.
Oh.
And that just tanked my social life. Like 5 steps back. It was terrible. And this was like January, I want to say, and the school year goes till June.
Me being a parent, I'd be like, frick yeah, egg the freaking house. I'm just kidding.
It was.
You're not grounded.
I mean, it wasn't even a good. Anyways, it's a long story, but so it was like from January to June.
That's terrible.
And I remember I
could not live like that.
I've never. It literally was sunset. So like in January, it was like 5:00. Got to be home by 5:00. And so after school, we'd be like, yeah, we got an hour to hang out, and then I'd have to go home. And then I remember being so excited because like by May it was like 7:30 or something like that, and I just thought that was the greatest thing ever. Yeah, and I kept that curfew, never cheated or anything on it, never snuck out or anything, never egged a house ever again. I TP'd a house once, but it was my friend's house, and I did it with other friends, so it was a prank, so it wasn't like and TPing is way less harmful than throwing eggs. I learned.
I threw eggs once, but the house was so far away, I couldn't reach the house because I didn't want to get out of the car. So I think it just hit the ground. That's my
embarrassing.
One attempt of an egg.
Anyways, but that's just a good example. Like, my parents were super cool, real chill. Unless I did something wrong, then they laid down the hammer.
I'm still surprised they said a whole year, though.
What do you mean?
I have to come home by sunset?
It was the school year, so it was like 6 months.
Oh.
Honestly, it could have been less than that, but it felt like 6 months. I mean, I can't remember because that was a long time ago. It could have been 2 months, but it really felt like it was January to June.
Well, in this situation, what would you tell your kid?
I don't know. I don't think I would take it that far.
I don't think I'd really care. I'd just be like...
I would care. You shouldn't egg a house.
No, I would care, but I'm saying like...
I'd probably make them clean it up.
Right. I don't think I'd punish
Power wash it. I don't know.
Ground them or something, but I'd maybe make them go apologize or clean it up or...
Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
but I also
feel like
it depends on how naughty your kid is.
I also... I am grateful for how I was raised.
Everyone's going to judge me for how I'm talking on here.
And a lot of people have, like, I've talked to a lot of people that have kids, or, I don't know, I mean, it's just kind of general consensus. And I don't know, maybe it's just my bias.
But you're also like an obedient
Can I finish
kid.
my thought real quick?
Sorry.
That the rising generation, well, the phrase is like, I just feel like the rising generation, they're a little softer than like us when we were kids, right? Like, I feel like everyone can kind of agree, however you define soft, but I've also heard a lot of people say like it comes down to like just kids aren't being punished as much, and when there's not as much discipline or authority growing up, like causes problems later on in life. Like, you think I ever messed up or did anything wrong ever again after that? Heck no. Like, if I had, so But then I feel like when some kids are punished, they just keep rebelling. You know what I mean? Like, so it probably depends on the kid, but I don't know. I think as a general rule, like, discipline's good. I don't know if I would take it that far, but I mean, you have to have discipline. You can't just let your kids do whatever they want. Sure. And I've seen kids, like, I've grown up with kids that like were allowed to do whatever they want,
and they were rebels.
And no, you can't even be a rebel if you can do whatever you want. But they just grow up without any structure, no discipline. And then I see where they are now, and I'm like, that makes sense. It's like the kite analogy.
Well, like, I feel like...
Do you know what the kite analogy is?
Yeah, you've talked about it before.
Okay, what is it then?
I can't remember what you've talked about.
Well, then...
Because sometimes when you're talking...
You don't know what it is.
I don't know.
Can I finish, or do you want to...
Yeah, go ahead.
You need a string to hold the kite down, and the kite might think, hey, this string is tying me down. But what happens if you cut the string? Kite can't fly. that string is like, can represent a lot of things, but like discipline. Okay, you can go.
That's a good analogy. I like it.
Thanks. Maybe you'll remember it this
Sorry,
time.
I was just saying, like, it's hard because I've always thought about that, like, kids are just going to do what kids want to do, I feel like. And so, like, I feel like obviously you have to have discipline, but, like, I feel like my parents were good. They weren't too hard, but they were hard in some ways not. I don't know. At least for me, I was fine. I don't know. I feel bad talking about this topic because I feel like I'm just going to be judged.
I don't know. Just everyone's different. Do you ever remember seeing your parents argue?
I've never had kids, so I don't really know. Yeah. Have you? I feel like no.
I mean, yeah. Not like a ton. But I do remember when it did happen, it would kind of like shock me. So, I don't know, maybe I don't know if there's a good answer.
Like,
because I don't want to say
my
maybe I
parents-
wish they argued more, but
Seeing my parents argue, like, just put me in a bad mood. And then I just wanted to be mad, I feel like.
your parents argue a lot.
You know.
Well, I feel like, I mean, for us, it's funny because the podcast is called Agree to Disagree. And it's not just like a cute name. Like, we really do. We have to agree to disagree a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's just I don't know, that's just who we are. Like, that's just our relationship. We just don't really agree on a lot of things. And we kind of, I'm sure we'll try and tone it down with kids, but I don't want to, like, have to pretend like everything's perfect in front of our kids. I think it's fine for them to see that, like,
It's reality.
we don't see eye to eye
Yeah.
on most things. As long as we don't, like, yell. I think we should have some ground rules. Like, we can disagree and argue, but we shouldn't yell. And I won't squirt you with my water bottle because that makes you really mad and that makes you throw things.
Yes, Jonas has one of those
It's
Powerade
over
water
there.
bottles where
It's the best because,
no.
like, it makes it easy to drink out of.
no,
And then
because
if
sometimes
Mykayla's
he'll push
bugging
it
me,
too hard and I get soaked, like drenched, like a shower, and I'm like, seriously?
and you get so mad, and it's just water. I've
Because
never
it
seen
makes
anyone.
my hair like curl and mess up my hair. It's annoying.
If money was ever an issue, did you hear them talk about it, or would they involve you?
I mean, my parents are just super open. Like, I feel like, especially growing up being the only child for a long time, I would just hear conversations all the time. Like, we just talked, like, even if they weren't talking to me, they just were talking about stuff. So, like, I feel like I don't know everything, but, like, it's not like they would hide stuff from me.
That's good.
Like, my parents have always been, like, well off. I mean, they do struggle with money from time to time, but that's because, you know, sometimes a sibling needs help, or they've had to help my sister Katie and have had to take money for that, or, you know, different things. And I know they wish they had more in savings, but they've done well off. But I mean, my life hasn't always been like, we weren't ever like super wealthy growing up. Like, my mom had to work at the gym and to help pay, and my dad had lost his job at one point when the economy was really bad, and so they've been pretty open, kind of known. What about with you?
Yeah, my dad we'd have like family, I forget what he called it, family conference, family council, I don't know, but like once a month we'd sit down and we'd just talk about stuff. He'd have a list of things to talk about, on like chores or current events or things happening that we all need to be on the same page about. But we'd also talk about like the family budget and finances and stuff. And he'd print out like papers of the budget and like pie charts and stuff. And I think that really helped me understand money growing up. So I think that'd be a good thing to do. Did your parents, you kind of already answered this, did they treat siblings the same, or did they show favoritism?
I mean, with all of us the same, but obviously me a little favoritism for sure. Like I said, I feel like with each kid, like you talk about it with like your friends growing up, like my younger sibling like gets it all, and like in our church too, like, you know, a lot of it growing up is like kind of being modest, like covering your shoulders and, you know, different things like that. And so like now, like times have just changed, but like growing up we lived in Arizona, and so like I feel like back when I was younger, like, oh, you don't wear short shorts or, you know, bikinis, and like we always did growing up. And now, like, since times have changed, like everyone wears it, but like I see friends where they're like, my little sister can go to school in a little crop top and like all these things, and like even like looking at my nieces and nephews, like I just feel like we didn't grow up wearing that stuff, but like times have changed. But at least for like people that are my age, their youngest sibling, they're like, yeah, it's not fair, like she gets to go to high school in crop tops and I would never be allowed to walk out of the house like that. So I definitely feel like, especially being like the baby, it just kind of gets like each child, I feel like, especially when you're younger, you really absorb and like watch your older siblings, and I feel like you can kind of like learn from each sibling when you're the youngest too. So I feel like things just kind of get easier, because I feel like in some ways you kind of know more too. Like you just see your siblings go through stuff, so like you just kind of know like not to do that. At least hopefully that's kind of how I was in some ways. But
Yeah, I agree. I feel like, I mean, I'm sure if you asked my siblings, they would all think that everyone else was the favorite, because I've heard we've all complained that.
Like, what do you mean? Everyone
Like,
else is the favorite?
like when Ben and I were in an argument afterwards, I'd always be like, why do you guys always take Ben's side? And Ben's would always be like, why do you guys always take Jonas's side? But I do feel like the girls were a little, and again, I don't know, I'll have to ask him. I'm sure Ben would agree with me, but I feel like if there was any favoritism ever shown, it would have been towards the girls.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for the most part, it was pretty fair. Did you do chores around the house?
No.
Did your other siblings do chores?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I was so young when they were all like older than me, so I don't really know. I mean, like obviously, like it's hard because I did gym for like 7 hours a day and school, so it was like I didn't have time to do chores. Like obviously I'd like put my clothes away, but like even when I moved back in from college, my mom still did my laundry. I mean, obviously I would put it away and fold it, but she would clean it for me, which was really nice, because I mean she has to do the laundry anyway, and then there's just her and my dad, so might as well just throw mine in there. But
so you never did chores?
Not really.
Did you ever have an allowance?
I know how to clean. No.
But they would just buy you things if you needed it? How did that work?
Yeah, I eventually like had my own card and stuff, and like I would get funding for being on the national team, so like I could use some of that for like getting some new workout gear, because we could write it off, or some things. I mean, they would put some money in my account so I could like spend, but I never really did chores.
That's nice.
I know.
So for me, growing up, which is funny
because I'm like, I love like cleaning everything super neatly, but like I was always a neat kid. Like my stuff's always been organized and clean. I just never did like the full chores, like take out the trash, put away the dishes.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Because for me, growing up, at first it was, I can't remember how it worked. I think we each had a day for like dishes and cleaning the kitchen. And then my brother and I, we always did the trash.
I know, it is kind of weird thinking I mean, maybe when I was younger I did that, but I don't remember if I did.
You would remember. Hated doing chores. And then like vacuuming or cleaning the house, or like dusting, or like Windexing, or cleaning up the yard and stuff. We never really had to do yard work because we always had an HOA that did yard work in California. But pretty much everything else, until I want to say I was like 15 or 16, my parents changed it. Also, so until that point, we just had chores, and then we never had allowance or anything, but they would just, if we needed stuff, they would buy it. And it was just kind of up to them if we needed it or not. So like they would pay for, the essentials. Then when I was like 15 or 16, my dad said, we're going to do something different. Well, he said, I'll give you guys a list of chores that need to be done every Saturday morning, and you can bid on them, like price. So it was kind of like a silent auction. We would just put our bid on papers. We'd hand them in, and then he would just, lowest bidder got to do that chore. And then that was like our allowance. So it was actually really cool because we had to learn how to like manage money really early, because that was like everything. So my parents wouldn't pay for, like the big things, but like if I want to do sports.
Yeah, I feel like they wouldn't even pay for you to get clothes. Didn't you have to buy all your own clothes?
Starting then. Before then, my parents would buy me clothes, but it'd be like if I needed clothes, then yeah, they'd get me clothes. But like if I just wanted like, oh, this, I wanted the Nike Elite socks that were $20 a pair, then they'd be like, they'd say kick rocks. We're not buying you.
Oh, my kids are gonna have all that stuff.
I don't know. We don't want to give them a.
I'm gonna take my kids school shopping every year and
Okay,
get
yeah,
them
once
things
a
here
year,
and
but
there.
they're not going to shop as much as you do. That's a terrible thing to teach a kid.
No, but I mean, my sister lets her kids get clothes all the time and gets things and gets cute things. I don't want my kids dressing like bums, okay?
Well, then what's wrong with once a year school shopping? Clothes for the next year. You don't have to like.
They don't need new clothes all the time, but I mean, here and there they can get a thing or two, like a new shirt or some new shoes.
I just think the worst thing you can do is teach a kid your spending habits. Like, oh yeah, you can just go buy things whenever you want.
I'm not gonna say that.
Well,
obviously
then we got to draw the line
they
somewhere.
And boys, I feel like, don't really care to shop that much. Like, my nephews don't care to shop for clothes, but.
Anyways, I liked that new system because then I kind of got paid for doing chores, and then I was more in charge of my money, so, I could buy my clothes, and I can't really remember what other expenses. There weren't a whole lot of other expenses.
See, we always went shopping for school clothes, and then my mom would still buy me things here and there, like, if I wanted it. Sorry, well, I'm just saying that's how I grew up, like.
I know, but
I also didn't work, so it's not like I could make money.
I know, but look at your like financial habits and knowledge, and look at mine. Like obviously.
Okay, but I'm also a girl. Girls like to spend money.
Well, I don't know if that's. I mean, probably.
If you're a fashion girl and an influencer, yeah, you do.
Anyways, that's how we did chores. So.
If you think I'm bad at spending money, you should see what half the other people post on Instagram every week of everything they buy. So.
I know there's a lot of.
Well.
Okay, last question, and then you can send us off with the assumption.
Okay, what's the last question?
What values did your parents instill in you at a young age, and will you instill these same values with our kids?
One thing for me is like never forcing your kid to do something like. Or like my mom always...
Yeah, right. They forced you to do gymnastics when you didn't want to.
They force me.
And what happened when you locked yourself in the room?
Well, obviously I needed to go to gym. I was just throwing a temper tantrum. But like once I got to the gym, I liked it. It was just like thinking about, going to practice, or like my friends would want to play and then I would want to go play. And then I'm like, I can't because I have to go to gym,
Mm-hmm.
And my mom did let me quit for a year because I really just didn't want to do it anymore. And then she ended up putting me back in it. Like there's like a balance though. Like, as a kid, like, being in a full-time sport is just hard. Like, it's not the funnest thing sometimes, but I'm glad that, like, my mom helped me to keep going. But, like, she always told me, like, if I wanted to quit, I could quit. So,
I guess that's true.
Like, there's some parents that really live through their children and, like, force them to do something. And with me, it wasn't, like, really ever forceful. I mean, obviously, she didn't want me to quit, but if I wanted to. But I think, like, my mom's, like, always taught us to, like, try to not like hold grudges on something and to be able to like get over it. And I feel like with all the trials I've been through, like there's been so many times where like I could have let it get to me or different things, but I've just been able to like let it go and just keep working hard and keep chasing my dreams and do what I want to do and not let other people live it for me or tell me what to do. I kind of just would get over it and move on, like no matter how hard it was. I just didn't like sit and dwell on it. Like, how sometimes I'll get really mad in the moment about something, like with gymnastics and like politics, but then like I'm mad about it for a day and I just move on, Like I feel like some people hold grudges for such a long time, and then it's like with teammates being mean. It's like I feel like I could really hate somebody, but then I get over it pretty easy. I don't hold a grudge for super long, and my mom just taught us to like move on with it.
Well, that's good.
Jonas is rolling his eyes at me. I don't want him to fool you.
Well,
he's getting annoyed with me.
I do.
But I just feel like
I can just think of like some examples where maybe you do hold a grudge, but in general.
Yeah, but I like just don't dwell on things in life. Like you just move on from it.
That's true.
And I just again like that my mom never made us do sports that we didn't want to do. it's like I hope that I'm like that with my kids. Like I hope I don't get super involved and like super competitive and like force them to do
Like a helicopter mom.
Yeah, soccer mom. But I don't know. I lived a pretty good childhood, I would say. I mean, obviously, yeah, things could be better in different things, but most of it, I feel like my parents taught me to be a pretty good kid. I feel like I've been pretty obedient. I've made my mistakes, but I think everyone makes their mistakes and you grow from it and you become stronger for it and you become a better person. And I'm grateful for the trials I've been through and for my parents just always loving and supporting me and being there for me. Like just having that relationship with my parents. Like I talk to my mom like 3 times a day. And like I just love that I can call my mom and ask her things and she just knows things, you know? So I hope I can be that for my kids. You know, I hope they're still calling me when I'm 60, asking me how to get this stain out of their laundry. So, you know.
That's true.
Your turn. Sorry.
Let's see. So my parents, what values did they instill? To work hard and to work and then play in that order. That was always the biggest thing. Saturdays, always chores in the morning, and then we do fun things. Same thing with like family night. If there was things we needed to get done, we do that first. We went on a lot of fun vacations. They taught us to work really hard, and I think that's like one of the number one things you can teach a kid is like no matter what, just give it your best effort, work hard, whatever you are, be a good one, you know. Financially a lot of financial values, like save first, spend less than you earn. What? You're laughing because that doesn't make sense to you.
I don't know that one. I mean, I do like to save. Hey, I saved all my money I won from World and I bought myself a car. So I could have spent that on other things.
Okay, that's not saving. That's you literally spent it on a car.
Yeah, but I saved it for a while. It was just sitting there until I bought a car.
How long did you save it for?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Because your car is the same year that Worlds was, so that would have been the same year.
No, I won all that money in 2014 Worlds.
You drive a 2014.
Just had a blonde moment. Yeah, but I didn't buy the car right away.
Okay, maybe you waited a few months.
I could have just took the money and been like, shopping spree.
Anyways, I'm sure there's a lot more, but that's the first things that come to my mind.
Still pretty good, though. I bought myself a car.
That is pretty good. You wanna read the weekly assumption?
Yeah.
This one, actually, we were talking about this, I think today, if I remember correctly.
Weekly assumption. There's a lot of pressure on social media when you're pregnant. I always talk about that, yeah.
I agree.
There is. I was really telling Jonas this the other day. I kind of said that at the beginning of the podcast, or like, I already know people are going to start judging me for being a parent, and I see parents get judged all the time, and it's like, don't ever judge a parent. Like, you just don't do that. I just don't think it's right unless, obviously, you're, like, abusing your child, you know, or some crazy thing. But, like I said, Jonas and I come from 2 completely different families, and we were raised really great, but in very different ways. So we're going to have to put those together and see how we're going to want to raise our kids. But no negative. Can we just be positive?
I try really hard to not judge other parents, but the one thing that's really hard for me to not judge is when I see like a little kid with an iPad. I don't know, that just triggers me.
Yeah.
And I don't. My favorite things lately are those pictures on Instagram where it's like before iPads and it's kids like riding bikes.
Right.
Because I have so many good memories of me like exploring, like with my brother, like looking for bugs, or like we'd go in the dirt by the hills by my house and like build, like me and my friends and I would build like dirt mounds. We'd take our bikes off jumps and stuff, and like I don't know, find creeks and catch tadpoles, or like. And nowadays, it's all you see is kids just on iPads or phones.
Which, like,
but everyone tells me when I say that, all my friends that have kids say,
just wait till you have a kid.
They're like, oh yeah, just wait till you have a kid because that'll be the only thing you can just hand them and shut them up. So it'll be a battle. I believe that, but.
Which I think it's fine to like, you know, have your own judgments, but like to sit there and tell somebody on social media what they're doing wrong and like literally just I just think it's rude. You don't attack somebody. I don't know. It's just like, don't say it at all. Because I'm sure the way you parent, you have a lot of flaws too, but I'm not going to sit there and tell you, oh, you're doing this, and wrong. Like, you get to parent how you want to parent. It's your child, your life, your growth. So let's just try to be positive people, all right? I want to stick with positivity and just loving everybody, and you never know what someone's going through, so just try not to judge, and if anything, send them a DM and ask how they're doing, because life is hard, having kids is hard, being a parent is hard. I already know it's going to be really hard. Jonas and I are in for it. Like, we know it's hard work. Like, we're not just here to be like, oh, it's a baby. Like, it's hard. We're going to be parents and go through all the trials and all the things that you guys have experienced, and I'm here to learn. I'm here to become better, and I don't know, just all
I
the
agree.
things.
No,
I don't know.
yeah.
I just don't like seeing the negative comments. Like, I don't really read them that much, but it's just really hurtful, and you just shouldn't say it. Since we're going to be talking about babies a lot, I hope that we can avoid some of it. I'm sure it's still going to happen, but I just hope we can keep it a positive environment, because then it's going to make me not want to be so open about.
Are you talking about what Chelsea said?
No, I mean, somewhat, but like, I just feel like I'm willing to come on here and like, I want to be real and like share my experiences and like share our journey with our kids. But like, if it's going to become a negative platform, like, it's just not worth it to me, and I might just shut it down. You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason to be rude or negative. Like, keep your thoughts to yourself.
And just to be clear, Chelsea didn't say anything negative. She was just saying some of the comments. I thought it was kind of funny. Like, people were getting mad that I don't want to change a diaper. Why would I want to change a diaper? Like, that does not sound like fun. Obviously, I'll do it. But
And a lot of guys don't really care to change a diaper, and then until you have a kid, you end up doing it, and you do
I'm
it.
sure I'll do it. I'm positive I will.
Haven't been thrilled for it, which we totally get it. We're just sharing our honest opinions. Like,
anyways, that's all we got. But we've got plenty of baby topics coming up. So, as always, if you have ideas, something you want us to hear us talk about, leave it in the comments or message us on Instagram, and we'll throw it in the rotation. And keep an eye out, because I think we're running out of assumptions. We might do another. We might do another round of. Yeah. So, anyways, we're here every Friday. We appreciate you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week.
If you got any good baby things, please let us know. Give all the suggestions to help, because we're gonna need it. But again, we're excited for this journey. We love doing this podcast. We hope that we're keeping it real for you guys, and that you get to know us better. And we'll see you next week. So thanks for tuning in.
See ya.